Hello, my name's Anna, and I am the owner of My Body of Art, which is a somatic coaching business. And I also am pursuing my art career and making my own collection and going to see where all of that goes. But I'm here today to have a conversation about my upcoming program called Awaken Your Inner Artist, 6-month Artist Way immersion. So this is based off of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And we're going to do a 6-month deep dive in a group. And I'm really excited about it. And I'll be answering probably some of your curiosities or questions, but also just giving a background on how that book has touched me and why I'm oriented towards it, why we're going to be going through it, and what I'm excited for people to experience as they go through the program together. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story, and I'm curious if any of this resonates with you. What am I doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
So I'm offering my first program, and we're going to run it based off The Artist's Way, because The Artist's Way is my favorite book, and it's already a 12-week coursework kind of program, and it's designed to be done in groups. So I will be running a group, but we're going to be doing it with more of a somatic perspective, an embodiment perspective, an integration focus. And we're going to do it instead of 12 weeks. We're going to do 24-week group going through The Artist's Way. And then we'll have weekly check-in points that will either be a group session, and then it will alternate weekly to open studio time so that people have time for the practices. They can check in and have some accountability with showing up to their journaling, morning pages, and whatnot. And that's what we're doing, starting April 1st.
What are you most excited for?
I am most excited to witness people tap into their creative spirit, like wherever they're at on the spectrum of like maybe they're already consider themselves an artist. Maybe they have a craft or some kind of like hobby that they pour into, but whatever their like starting point is, just watching people tap into possibility within themselves and watch them get excited and curious about their own potential and just like what happens when we feel our creative energy move. So I'm excited to feel that in myself because I always get something out of this book, and I always really appreciate coming back to like basic, simple principles with my creativity. And I'm excited for that to be like very fertile soil to like watch all these new buds grow in myself and in other people that we may not consciously normally feed.
What was it like for you the first time that you read it, and like how did you come into contact with it?
I came into contact with it in 2020. And I'm trying to remember the first time I heard about it. But it was like all of a sudden I just started hearing the name like over and over again. So I was just aware, okay, there's this book out there. It's called The Artist's Way. And then I had a friend personally call me, and they were asking me for advice with like selling art prints or something. And they called me and they were like, hey, I'm actually starting this book club. It's a group thing. It's called The Artist's Way, but it's designed to kind of be done in a group. Would you be interested in it? And I just said yes because I had heard about it so many times. I was like, okay, these are the breadcrumbs. This is my invitation. And then, so I started it in a group program that was like January 2021.
What did you get out of it?
Well, we did it in the 12-week span. And by week 6, I was literally in a different country, which I had not planned for, like when I was starting the course. But there was a bunch of there was so much inside of me that I was in a stage where I had not been like honoring my creativity. I hadn't been honoring my own process with things. I was coming from perspectives of, okay, people have like said I'm good at drawing, so I should keep that up by like drawing what people want. And I just wasn't really like enjoying or in an exploration process with myself. And so like it opened a can of worms for me, just starting the book and learning a journaling practice, like just developing that process of relating to myself where I'm not analyzing every word that comes out of me, but I'm letting things move. And so I had a bunch of like bucket list items that just started showing up in the next few months because I like finally just kind of pivoted my focus towards them. I was like, wait, I've always wanted to travel. I've literally always wanted to travel. I expected that would happen sometime during or after college. Wasn't able to travel, like wasn't able to do a study abroad during college. So then I was like, okay, we were not coming out of COVID, but we were like, had just been planted through the COVID experience. And so I was just in a very reflective state, and the particularly travel and experiencing different cultures and letting myself learn different things that were curious to me, like all of it, all of a sudden I had all this availability. I was no longer in school. COVID had changed my work plans. And so it was such a beautiful, transformative process I was not expecting. And that was just kind of the beginning. And now I feel like I'm integrating things that were planted when I first started reading the book. And now I'm looking at my life and I'm like, thank God I opened that book, or like, thank God I opened myself to other people asking me questions about my creativity and my process, and being curious about adding in different like simple habits, because it's really opened me up to myself.
So I want to put a pin in that real quick. I want to put a pin in the way that it's still integrating and the way that you're still getting things out of it. And I want to go back to, you said you shifted focus, and I'm curious, like, what shifted in you when you were working this program, and then also maybe what other changes did you notice?
So I have my journal right here from when I first did it. And not that we're going to be like reading through it, but I am a little bit curious, like just to like look at it overall to see what kind of stuff was coming up. Because when I look at this, I don't even journal this much anymore. Like it was like pouring out of me. So I think a big thing that shifted was giving myself permission, like just permission in general, not needing other people to approve things for me to get started, not needing to know that something's going to work out for me to spend time working on it. And so I feel like I gave myself a huge permission slip to be where I was, a huge permission slip to be honest with myself and like actually be honest about my desires, my curiosity. Like I remember some of the first few journal prompts or exercises, I kept like writing that I wanted to dance and I wanted to sing, two things I did not spend any time on, and two things I have thought like, oh, I'm terrible at this. I'm never going to do this. So why would I like spend time on it? And then I was like, every time I tap into my inner child or we talk to her, she's really clear about what she wants to do, and she's not worried about what other people think. So I think a big thing that shifted was I care about the state of my inner child. I care about my dreams that I've had and like maybe have gotten fizzled out, or I've believed enough of other things to think that it's not worth trying. So I think it was like a self-respect that grounded inside of me, where I was like, no, I'm curious about all these little whispers that I've just naturally had. And I'm so tired of my creative process being so focused on the outcome and so focused on like creative process with anything, like learning process. So I'm just going to simplify it. I think the biggest thing I learned was I was willing to have beginner's mind, which they talk about in some form of Buddhism. And I was like willing to learn again and be like, oh, I'll sign up for this whole like long-term growth journey, because I already can feel the like regret or the like, why didn't I just keep drawing? Like, why didn't I keep spending time on these different things that just brought me joy? And so it was really nice to nourish myself and give myself permission to allow curiosity and joy to lead my decisions again, which I hadn't done since I was like a small child.
Yeah, it's like I'm also hearing that you're saying like you started listening to that inner child too, and through the practice of the journaling, you're listening inward to allow that voice to speak, the creative one, the inner child, like giving it time and space to come forward.
Definitely. Which then makes you curious when you start listening to your inner child. Then you're like, dude, why is my inner parent such an asshole? Like, why am I so anti-fun? Like, we need to grow up now. Now we need to be focusing all of our energy on deciding what the career path is and how we're going to implement it and da-da-da-da. And I had just completely thrown out, even though other people saw myself as an artist or they thought of me in an art form. I had just completely thrown out having fun. And I definitely came to live a life where I experience fun throughout my years in all my stages. And it's not this time capsule that then you just talk about what happened when you were a kid and you don't actually experience fun in like a novel way anymore. So it also made me really aware of like the way I talk to myself, like my inner self-concept, what motivates me to do things, which at that time was like all just like, how can I manipulate people to keep liking me? How can I manipulate these different, like all these different things to get validation? It really had nothing to do with, I'm curious, so I'm just gonna. Like I had an explanation for everything to make everyone proud, and nobody was actually asking me to do that.
Wow. So I put a pin in a question. It was, what are you doing today that is still, like, what was your journey? And, like, how is that still showing up in your life today from this original run-through of this program?
Well, one would be like, I know the power of journaling now. So it would be like, I want to keep journaling, but truly right now, that's not my consistent daily practice. And that's part of why I'm so excited to start this book again, because I know it's just a habit I got to feed, and then I'll be excited to wake up and do it. But I'd say, I mean, a lot of just my orientation in general, my orientation towards like being really curious about what lives in each of us and knowing that there's actually a lot to tap into, even when we think that there's nothing there. Like in the past, when I would encourage other people to create and people would just be like, oh, no, like I can't do that. No, I draw stick figures and those aren't even very good. Like I can't. I feel like in the past, I was just like, okay. Like maybe other people don't do art, but like what? And obviously I'm not just talking about like figure drawing or something. But now that I've like, particularly from that book and then just in general, my life experiences after that, from the orientation of being curious, I've watched so many people around me like just find a whole world inside if they're just willing to listen, have some curiosity, spend some time with themselves. And I feel like I want to answer this question again in a different way. I feel like I'm going on.
Well, also like your art right now.
Yeah.
Like this crazy painting behind you.
Yeah.
You know, like how did Reading the Artist's Way lead you to where you're at right now, which is like.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. I thought you meant my daily practices.
You have, and that was important information as well. And I'm glad that you told me that. But like you have your art going in a coffee shop.
Yes. Yep.
You're a super original art, like the one behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And you work at Open Hearts as a.
I have a lot to say on this question, actually.
Yeah. So, like, how did that lead you to where you're at right now? And
so, yeah, how that is showing up in my life today is original art. I'm actually making original art. I've made a lot of commissions and a lot of like directly what people are wanting, making exactly that, or trying to. It never really can be exactly what they're picturing, but I'm making my original art now, and I'm like really committed to it. And I have my art up at a coffee shop on their little bar, and then it's going to be up covering the walls later on in the summer. And so that's been my structure for, I'm creating a collection of original art. It is happening. And that, like, it's taken me a really long time to create the space in my life for that to be something that can actually happen. I had to say no to a lot of other things for that, for me to be able to say yes to things that I don't know what's going to come out yet. So my art making practice, like going to art shows and vending and stuff, I've done a couple this year, and I want to keep doing more with the original art I create. And now I like in career orientation from the book, and during that time in my life, I became aware of healing modalities and just like healing in general, which I feel like a lot of people listening to this are probably aware of, or in general in the last 5 years, it seems like it's become much more of a cultural conversation. And so for me, I like pivoted to wanting to create a skill set where I could serve people one-on-one and go deeper in supporting people with their healing journey. And so that is also a really big part of where I'm at now from that book. Those seeds have grown where now I'm like trained in a professional like somatic healing modality. And then I get to practice that. I get to embody what I'm learning through that training and all the other affiliate trainings. And now I work because I wanted to get more therapeutic experience in a work setting without having therapeutic licensure. I looked up art therapy jobs when I moved to Asheville, and I found Open Hearts Art Center, which is incredible. And I get to do basically therapeutic art all day, and get that one-on-one vibe that I like. And yeah, and then now I'm like developing my own somatic coaching therapeutic art business where I'm facilitating group events, doing one-on-one sessions, which has honestly been the dream. And that dream was planted like basically when I was finishing that book and I was still in Costa Rica. So it's very relevant to where I'm at right now.
And I really, like from you, I really get the feeling that you want to help other people break free and to pursue your heart's desire.
I want people to give themselves a chance. I want people to explore their curiosity now rather than just keep putting off time for themselves, or like these things or these glimmers that people are like, hey, I really like, I have these like book ideas, or I have like this poetry that likes to come out, or I really like recording music even though I don't really know what I'm doing, or whatever the thing is, or like some like human thing, like you really like going through this creative process with working with someone in this direct way. Like that kind of stuff eats at you. If you don't express yourself, if you don't give yourself a chance, like that stuff will still be in you later on. And you may have less energy for it. You may have less time because you might have more obligations or dependence by then. And it's still possible. It's always possible. But I feel like I want to give people invitations and spaces where it's like, right now, you have the opportunity to go through this, and you can do it in a group. And let's just like begin practicing like your number one in your life and see how you respond to that, and see what it's like to invest in creative potential and creative energy that lives inside of you, and teach it to move in different ways, aka like helping people break through by expression rather than suppression and depression. And I feel like that is a life skill that you get to take with you anywhere you go, and it continues to like birth more freedom in you because you are an ever-changing being in all moments. And so like, why not invest in investigation of yourself right now and cut out all the regret and like the projections you're going to throw on people for pursuing their dreams when you never did or something. Like, show up now. It's worth it.
Why, this is a deeper question, but why is it meaningful to you to help other people pursue that inside themselves?
I'm passionate about it because I wouldn't have been able to do it just on my own. Like, and I felt like I had all the tools around me. I had people encouraging my art. I had art supplies. I had general, like, overall privileged and like having the time and space to do it a little bit, even though I had all my reasons and excuses for why I didn't have enough to be able to work on my art. And those exact same excuses still come up. And I understand them and I have compassion for them. But because we're all supposed to do this together. Like, we're not supposed to be doing this, like, life thing isn't just an individual experience. It's very much a collective experience, and creative energy feeds off of connection and resonance with different perspectives and experiences. And so to get to feel someone else's creative energy and feel inspired by that already is like showing that you have the resonance for the same like amplitude of creative energy. So I'm excited to just reflect back possibility and permission to people. And for me to like, I want to prioritize having these spaces and nourishing myself so that I can be like a strong reflector and a strong friend and ask good questions and like be the advocate for people's inner artist and inner child if they're not the advocate yet for themselves.
Yeah, and that makes me think of, you know, you advocating for the inner child and the inner artist. It makes me think of a quote that you've shared before that, and you may remember who it was, and it may be from the first chapter of The Artist's Way, but an artist is just somebody who just makes art. An artist is just somebody who puts paint on the canvas. That an artist is somebody who does it.
That is from the book. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yes, I don't remember who it's from, but it's like the only factor of determining whether you are an artist or not an artist is if you showed up to create something that day. And that was a really humbling statement for me to take in, because as I was encouraged to pursue my art and I was considered an artist, I wasn't actually creating from like my truth.
Wow. So you weren't an artist.
And I wasn't I didn't have a devotional practice towards any medium. I would just like try to find, like, just wait till someone else was asking and then like procrastinate and then do it the last minute. And like none of it was in this like,
so humbling because like everyone else was telling you're an artist. But according to that statement,
I was not
being an artist.
No.
That day.
Yeah. Or many of those days. Yeah.
And how was that helpful for you?
It was helpful to be like, oh yeah, like sometimes I was defining it, probably not consciously, but I was defining it as like, I'm an artist when I have this particular outcome, like I've made this certain art sale or I've accomplished this thing. But then with art, it's the most humbling process ever, because and when I say art, it's really any form of expression. It could be reading. But although that's a little more taking it in. But I didn't have any committed showing up to the unknown. I only showed up to the known with the art skill that I just somewhat had, and then I forced it through. Whereas if you're actually showing up to art time or like a creative exploration, that is where the juice always shows up. In the unknown, which is a really big life lesson with this book, is like, how do you relate to the unknown? Because the unknown is also in you, especially women in their wombs. But yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I feel that it's humbling for me as well. Like, not being able to cruise on your laurels, I think is a statement or something like that. Like cruise on what you've already done. Art is about doing it. And that it's about where the rubber hits the road, you're doing it. And that's all we really need to do, right? It's from what I'm hearing from you is like, you just do it. And this is a book that helps you show up for yourself in that way.
With respect to the unknown, like respect for it. Like there's nothing much I need to prepare other than maybe some supplies or a comfy warm drink and sweater or something, you know? Otherwise, you show up without knowing exactly what's going to come through and without like clenching on to whatever the process is. And to me, I just keep learning from that lesson over and over again because I keep wanting control over and over again. And then I'm like, the juice always comes through when I loosen the grip.
And this is a step-by-step process on how to work through those barriers.
Yes, this is a step-by-step process. And it is similar to the 12 steps, in my opinion. Although I haven't gone through the 12 steps, but I get to learn about it through you and other lovely people. But it's an organized program that builds off of itself, like starting, I think, with like restoring like safety in your inner artist. And the main principles are morning pages, which is stream of consciousness writing in the morning, which so simple, so helpful for approaching the unknown because you're not, rather than waking up and like grappling your to-do list and already being pissed at someone because there was a loud sound that woke you up and then you're directing all your energy onto this thing and then whatever, it's like give all that pent-up energy a space. 3 pages, write. Don't think about what you're writing. Talk about your grocery list. Talk about something that's lingering from a conversation with a parent, like whatever it is. Just write it all out, and you might even be running out of things to say, so like just be making marks on the page. That is quite a life-changing experience when you actually show up to that, and I'm excited for any of you when you try that. Let me know after a few days. What do you notice? Our brains really like to not be in control about, or our bodies and our brains. We don't like to actually be in control of everything because we're limiting ourselves a lot. And then artist states and what's the other one? Artist walks. Yeah. So there's lots of like core habits that you come back to, which I really appreciate. So there's a plethora of things that this course will lead us through, and people will have the option to kind of pick and choose through some practices because there's like a whole bucket at the end of every chapter. And so in the past, I've done it where you pick a practice that you're most drawn to, and then you pick a practice that you're the most repellent of. Like you're so like, I do not want to do that. That's so cringy or whatever. And so that's been the invitation that I'll probably keep going on with this program is let's not overwhelm ourselves. We don't have to do all the practices. This is like the Bible. You can come back. You'll always get something new. And
so I have a question.
Yeah.
I really liked the way that you said the body doesn't like to be in control all the time. And that just reminded me of your somatic experiencing training and lens. And yeah, I'm curious to hear like how that's going to come through as you're leading this group by walking alongside everybody.
There was different parts of the question. Can you say the question again?
Yeah, for sure. How is your somatic experiencing lens going to come through in this training or in this program?
For one, the fact that we're going to do it in a 6-month pace rather than a 12-week pace, I tend to get overwhelmed easily sometimes with too much information or like trying to keep up at a particular pace of ingesting information. I'm much more interested in digesting and integrating information and then seeing what I'm drawn to next. So I really want to support people with de-shaming their like any like schoolish maybe programming or beliefs that come up about needing to like be the perfect student or like check all these things off the list, but I really want to reflect back to people what's actually going on in their body in like the present moment as they go through this material, and having check-in points in our group sessions. And also at the beginning and end of our open studio time, also like really tuning in and being like, what's actually true right now? Like, am I just mentally really excited about this, but all of the signs are saying my body's like, absolutely not. I'm done. I'm like really close to burnout. So I'd really like to offer some somatic tools and practices like in the sessions, and then also in emails in between, of how people can be showing up for their bodies as they integrate this information and as they're playing around with different perspectives, grounding themselves and remembering that we are learning something new maybe, or this is maybe bringing up, like the prompts can definitely be very like inner child healing oriented, which can bring up all kinds of things. So that's why I'm really excited to bring in the like grounded, let's slow it down, what's actually going on, you have everything you already need, like that feeling and that pace and that all the little moments that will come from that, where people are like, oh yeah, this isn't just about, we're not all just like kumbaya this book, it's kumbaya us.
Yeah.
And this book is just supporting us to not get too ahead of ourselves about all these other ideas. Like we all can use the same practices and thrive as humans, learning new things and working with our ideas, bringing things to completion, yada yada.
Yeah. So with the somatic training that you have and passion for that, and the idea of the body having its own intelligence, I'm curious, how for you, how do you see that show up in your art, and how do you nurture the inner child in your body?
Well, my devotional art practice these days are very body-based, because I discovered that for me to show up to a page and not get in my head, I would rather just let my body take the lead. And so I've been doing that through body scans, where I'm like taking my awareness and focusing it inward and just tracking through my body head to toe, where I'm feeling a little more tension, where I'm feeling a little more space, if there's a color or something that represents a certain area. And just giving a moment for the sounds to wash by. But do you want me to start over at any point?
Let's keep going.
Okay. So I do these body scans. And so I'm tracking internally where I'm feeling different sensations, and maybe I want to represent that through different colors or textures, and just like very simple marking, like let me listen to my body and fill out this page kind of in the same shape as my body. And then from there, I just like see what I find. And for me, that is, it allows space for like inner wisdom to come through, because whatever's like going on in our psyches, like we try to make sense of it by finding symbols in the world that like we can, depending on what you're going through in your life, you'll notice different things in your environment. So that's why it's really cool to have a curious mindset, because different things will pop up. But it's been really cool in my painting process to not control and just trust that I know it's in me, and I don't know what's coming, but I'm going to start with this. I feel like really drawn to this color right now, or I really like playing with this particular medium and I like moving it around in this way, and that feels like really nice to me right now. And so I guess to explain that from like a somatic lens, like maybe I'm having a lot of rigidity in my body as I go through my work day, or I do this and I do this. And then to show up to my devotional practice, like I'm trying to like tap in and nourish and move and express whatever's here. So if there's been a lot of rigidity and I'm noticing my body is really appreciating some fluid motion, I'm going to spend more time in the fluid motion to find some balance. And then maybe I'll stop whenever my body's like, let's like jab it on again, or whatever the thing is. So I've been having a lot of fun finding symbolism in my artwork and being amazed at the threads that come through my art now that I'm not like containing and controlling all of them so much. Like a lot of my pieces have similar characters or similar colors, or like a lot of them have octopus tendrils in them. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool that you're letting your art really be you. It reminds me of your brand, My Body of Art. It's all interconnected.
It is.
Yeah, is there anything else that you'd like to share about this program?
I think I want to, like, I've made this statement a little bit, but say again, like, this isn't just for people who want to make physical art. This is just for someone who's curious, which I've used that word a million times, curious about feeling less tension in their throat when they speak their opinion. For anyone who's interested in, like, feeling what life would be like if they weren't so oriented towards everyone else than what's actually exciting or joyful or interesting in that moment to them. And I just really want people to, like, I feel like sometimes this can be more for the person that doesn't think they're an artist. But because it's called The Artist's Way, maybe they already tapped themselves out or something. But I just want to call out, like, anyone who's like, I'm not an artist, I'm not. But maybe you're not feeling that satisfied in life. Like, try it out. Try out maybe a part of you that you don't normally feed because of the artist title and just see what happens.
Beautiful. Namaste.
Namaste. Thanks for listening, everybody. We are going to start this program on April 1st, and the sign-up link is at my Instagram, link in bio, Anna G. McCoy, or My Body of Art. You can find it both places. And we're going to be doing this for 24 weeks, 6 months. So it'll go from April 1st through September 2nd, and that is 23 live calls, and then you also get a free one-on-one somatic experiencing session with me where we can explore any creative blocks or life challenges that are coming up as you go through the material. So it's going to be really sweet. And we're going to have a WhatsApp group too to have some continuity between calls. But it'll be a really, like, sweet, intimate container where we can really dive in with ourselves, with each other.